understanding.
The problem is people get stuck with the trash.
Oh, I know. It's like candy. It's
See,
like
for instance,
toys
if
under the
somebody
Christmas
waves
tree.
his hand and makes ash and puts it, then everybody thinks, oh, he's a big man.
Where did that come from?
I'm just telling you.
Yeah, but where did that just...
Wait. Sup. Today, dude, we should do reactions as like lacrosse bros.
That sounds terrible.
Oh, dude, Shriyam's sick. Today, we're reacting to Shriyam. We tried to react to a video from him the other day.
Yeah.
And it failed.
It failed miserably.
Someone asked him, what did they ask him?
They asked him, is life predestined?
Which is just one of those chicken and the egg questions.
Yeah.
And it just ended up being like Shriyam trying to be like, yeah, it's like thinking you gotta need life. And it's like...
It felt like we needed a long one from him.
Yeah.
So we got a long one from him.
So we asked you guys, and Manab delivered.
Yes.
Look, we don't pick favorites because we love all of you equally, but Manab puts in work. He puts in work. What are you gonna do?
Mascot. Snick. All right. Well,
But we appreciate so much all of your help with finding cool videos because you know more than we do.
that's literally like the only place we look for now to get cool videos. Like we do not look for them ourselves. We just ask you.
Yeah.
And we get the goods. So today, it's Shriyam, a stunning first-person account of a modern mystic. Part 1.
Oh boy.
If you like it, there's a second one.
Oh boy.
Here we go.
Born into a Muslim family as Mumtaz Ali Khan, Shriyam is considered to be one of India's leading contemporary mystics. As a young man, he lived for several years in the Himalayan mountains with his teacher, Maheshwamat Babaji. Shriyam tells of meeting in person Shirdi Sai Baba, Sri Mahavatar Babaji, serpent spiritual beings from another galaxy, J. Krishnamurti, and many others. Welcome to Souljourn, Part 1 of Shriyam. This interview was recorded in Shriyam's home in Madnapali, India.
What is it about the Himalayas?
Yeah.
There's something.
It seems magical.
It does seem magical. And snowy. I don't know.
December of 2012.
Shriyam, Mr. N, Madhu, thank you for this opportunity to be with us on Souljourns as people learn more about how to advance their own spiritual self. You were born to a Muslim family. What led you to move beyond it to explore the secrets of the Himalayan rishis, swamis, and gurus?
Yes, you're right. I was born in a Muslim family. But, one comes with a lot of background into this world. Except that some people don't remember, some do. I happen to be one of those exceptions who remembers. And therefore, even though I was born in a religion which is different, you see, the problem is all religions have been founded on some kind of mystical experience.
Mm-hmm.
As days go by, as years go by, the inner mystic experience is kind of covered up by the outward practices. So, even though Islamic religion appears on most part to be a practical thing for 5 times prayer and all that kind of thing, and that this path is the only true path, and there is only one holy book and there is one prophet and so on. Deep down there is a mystic streak in Islam which is called the Sufi. So when I was a young child, my first experience of the Sufi understanding of Islam was my grandmother telling me stories about the Sufis.
I see.
Right.
Whoa.
I feel like, first of all, by mystical, I'm sure you all know this, but we just mean like, I think the understanding is that mystical is just something that happens beyond words.
Yes.
That like just simply cannot be described in
Ineffable.
words. Ineffable. Exactly. And this just has me just thinking about the power of a mystical experience.
Mm.
And also thinking, this is just like a wandering thought, about how maybe all these religions are just trying to find the best way to give you a mystical experience. Like in their essence.
Yes. I like that.
Like you hear things about like in every religion, like you say, like I just thought about Christianity, like Moses got the 10 Commandments from a burning bush that just like spontaneously combusted with God. And like that is completely a mystical experience and was given this message. And so Moses is just like thought of as this amazing character. You know, and this just happens all throughout. It's like who that we would consider a teacher hasn't had an extremely mystical experience or is just at this point consistently having mystical experiences. My dad, my own dad, my dad is not spiritual, does not like religion, none of it. He is not here for it. But one time he was looking at some artwork and had an extremely mystical experience. And it has impacted him very deeply. Like whether he learns from that and that guides his life is up to him. But that opened a new dimension that is now accessible to him. And so that's where it lies, is like, how can we trigger those mystical experiences in ourselves and then create environments where it's triggered in others too?
And that's, I guess, kind of the point of religion or the point of these methods.
At their best, I would say.
At their best.
At their best.
And
That's
I love how Sri M said that we are all born into the world with this past knowledge, but most forget it. And he was one of the rare ones who remembered it. Which, if you accept the idea of reincarnation, whatever, that can get very interesting. But just the fact that he then had this understanding innately of what religion is and what the purpose of it is, so that he could approach a Sufi in a way that is open to what could happen next. And it's like, oh man.
That just brings me back to Sadhguru talking about how the only thing he cares about is perception.
Yes.
And like talking about Shiva.
That's the
How
one.
the key, the like thing that people remember the most about Shiva is that he opened his third eye, and that was like the perception was available to him at that point. And I feel like that relates very directly to karma, in the way of like the ability to perceive outside of your own life, in a way, is you begin to remove yourself from that karma that you were born into, the one that like easily could trap you.
Or like give yourself space from it in some way.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And so that ability to perceive things and like be able to flow freely as you move, as you learn, and not be like, I need to be Muslim my whole life because I was raised Muslim. Now he's a yogi.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
This got magical fast.
Yeah, it did.
Let's go.
Now, it's quite natural that once you get into the mystic stream and you have a background of the past, you don't then confine yourself to Sufi or Islam. You go forward. You kind of get over it and go beyond.
Years ago, when I started more seriously on this path as a novice, I quickly came to understand that those who were the mystics at the top of Islam, Christianity, Judaism, Hinduism, they had more in common with one another, it seemed, than
Right.
with people of their own.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's true. So as I went along, I found that here was a teaching which appealed to me very naturally as something which was not dogmatic in any sense. It was an exploration. You see, all the Upanishads, for instance, are dialogues between the rishis and the students. So nobody is asked to believe anything.
Their conversations.
Yeah, nobody is asked to believe. The understanding is, okay, explore and find out for yourself.
The authority is the listener who
Yes.
concludes on his own or her own what they're
Absolutely,
listening to.
absolutely. Yeah.
That was a cool line by the interviewer. The authority is the listener.
Wow.
Holy
That's
shit.
empowering.
Holy shit.
Woo! Yeah,
You're the authority, not us.
that's good.
That's real good. Nice one, guy behind the camera.
Yeah, that just answers that question of like, not the question, but the the problem that people always face of like imparting knowledge that they might have gotten. But that's all just like based in those mystical experiences, and so the other person, of course, is just gonna. That's just full responsibility. Just full response. You are completely responsible for everything that enters you. Completely responsible.
It's like, oh my, there's this feeling that comes to me every once in a while. It's like when I'm almost in my like truest state or something that I feel it just like clicks in. And it's this feeling of like seeing all of the different mystics and just people I look up to, whatever, and seeing all of them and seeing all the ways they've done it, and then being like, my way is different.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
yeah.
but it's crazy because then like that means a full faith, not even a full faith in yourself. No faith in anything out there. And that's like, that's unbelievable. It's like a heavy weight, but also a release of all the weights.
Yeah. Because you don't have to put on a shoe that doesn't fit right. It's like if you become awakened in yourself, that's going to feel like you're walking barefoot.
Hey. Whoa.
Yeah.
All right, we're here now. We've arrived. Let's go.
It's not a question of do's and don'ts. It's a question of understanding and exploring, which is what attracted me to the Hindu system of thought.
You said that you thought all young boys had a deep interest in God. When did you realize that you were the exception to the rule?
Oh, I can tell you one or two examples. When I found a religious person or heard someone talking about a religious experience, or when I went to passed across a temple or a church or any religious place, I would feel a deep stirring in my heart, which you cannot logically explain. And even now, in those days, impossible because my vocabulary was quite limited. Even now, I cannot explain this feeling because it's beyond ordinary reason. It came from the soul. I didn't know that it is because of my past birth and experiences at that point, but now I know why. So that was one thing. The other was that the experience I had when I was around 8-9 years old, when my guru in this life, Maheshwarnath Babaji, out of the blue suddenly appeared in Trivandrum on the backyard of the house in which I was, where we lived, and touched me on my head with his right hand, saying in Hindi, "When the time comes, everything will be fine." After that, I have never been the same.
Okay. So I don't know if we cut this out. I'm thinking we probably cut this out.
Yeah.
But the beginning of this video started with a bunch of like previews of what he was going to say, and we thought it was the real video because we're silly.
Yeah.
But also the editing was just horrible. So but he like explained just a piece of this story, and we were both very confused.
Yeah.
Now he's making it sound like
Yes.
he was somewhere that didn't speak Hindi, and this guy appeared in his backyard, touched him on the head, spoke something in Hindi that maybe he would later understand? Did I understand that correctly?
Maybe. I don't know.
I don't know either.
Wow. What struck me too earlier was when he was saying how he would pass religious centers
Oh.
and always felt something stir in him. That's just, that's the right way to say it.
And what I think is beautiful about that is opening us as the authorities up to the challenge of reflecting and being like, what are the things that you pass by that stir you up?
Oh.
And how many times have you like felt that stirring and just kind of like moved away from it?
Wow.
Because it's just, but you felt it there, but you had other things to do.
Your mind is the thing that'll keep you from following.
You had karma to follow.
Dude, that's what happens when you're a wanderer.
Oh.
We were just talking about this in the oh yeah. We just
UG.
changed our banner.
UG Krishnamurti.
UG Krishnamurti. That's what happens when you're a wanderer. You walk someplace, you think you're going somewhere. Well, you don't think you're going somewhere. You get stirred. You're going that way.
Exactly. Yes, that was the thing. Because earlier I was thinking, like, should we really switch the banner from Seeker to Wanderer? Like,
Yeah.
what's the difference?
Yeah.
And it's like, at least, but I think it's just the way we're defining the words.
For sure. Yeah.
But the way that I have always pictured Seeker, or what Seeker feels like, is like, oh, I'm trying to find that. Like that is what I'm trying to find right there.
Mm-hmm.
But Wanderer feels like I am following whatever it is.
Wim Hof's best line, whatever I feel, I follow. Come on.
We're talking about freedom, people.
What
does that mean? Why did I say that? Why did I follow you? Bad idea.
You should be a wanderer, not a follower,
That's a
sir.
good point. All right, come on.
What is
He
that from?
materialized. He didn't just walk in off.
Well, I can't say whether he materialized or not, because
Oh.
we had a very small compound wall at the back, and when I first saw him under the jackfruit tree, I thought that some kind of a beggar or someone has jumped across the wall, because I didn't see him come and I didn't see him go, but I didn't see him materialize out of thin air, except that when I looked, there was somebody there.
Oh.
And then he gestured and I went close. The normal reaction should be that you should get frightened because there's a
Sure.
stranger, but I was not, which also I cannot explain. Now I can, but not at that point. So I went towards him, and he put his right hand on my head and said this. And then he said, "Go back." So I turned and walked back. It's quite a distance, the backyard, it's quite long. So by the time I reached the kitchen door at the back and turned around to see, he was not there. I didn't see him, like poof, coming or going or anything of that kind.
He just wasn't there.
He wasn't there. Now the thing is,
And, I'm gonna let him finish.
Do it.
every time I tried to speak of this experience to anybody, first person of course was my mother who was cooking in the kitchen, I found that my tongue was literally what you call tongue-tied. I couldn't speak. I could say anything except that. So this went on for many, many years till I kind of disappeared into the Himalayas at the age of 19 or so. But then from that,
I'm done. I'm done. All right, no more learn with this. Sorry. See ya.
Yeah.
We'll see ya.
Yeah, that sounds a lot like a movie we were watching the other day. Howl's Moving Castle.
Ah, yes.
Someone gets a spell put on them,
Mhm.
and the one thing is that they can't speak. Say that I have a spell on me.
Yeah. It's like forcing you to keep it in. What?
That's cool. I'm just pointing at you. I like that.
Okay, yeah. It's like forcing you, if you are tongue-tied, to actually reflect. Because the reason why you would say it is, first of all, that makes it a little bit less real. Like, the mystical experience, kind of is only at your fingertips then when you start talking about it, because what you do is you bring it down to non-mystical.
And then imagine how many people on Earth,
Yeah.
how many of you guys have had some sort of experience, maybe not as nutty semen as something like this,
Uh-huh.
and then you've told someone about it, and they just kind of look at you and are like, what?
Yeah.
Or it becomes like an ego thing.
Dude, if you're 8 years old, you're gonna be told that you're crazy.
Yeah.
And then maybe not follow that feeling. Oh my.
But if you can't speak it,
Oh man.
something knows.
You're gonna have to
Something knows.
let it simmer in you.
Until you go to the Himalayas, I guess. I guess that's where we're headed now.
Yeah.
Holy.
Yeah.
every night I got into what is called the natural meditation. I call it natural meditation because I felt something beautiful in the heart center. And I closed my eyes. Most often I just lay down and did it, because in the middle of the night if you sit up and meditate, they might think there's something wrong with this guy. So because we all used to be in one room.
So you did it secretively.
I did very secretly. And I had many, many experiences from that time onwards. It had started off.
There's so much I want to ask, and we have a limited time, but I must go back to what you said at the very beginning, that you are among the few who were able to remember your previous lives, your previous lessons. Does that make you 1 in a million or 1 in 7 billion? Because I don't know of too many other people.
I can't say this exactly the number, but I think every human being has some hint or the other about his life. We meet somebody and suddenly become very close. He doesn't know why. And then sometimes you hate someone for no reason. You think, there's no, why do I hate them? There are some connections. And you go to some places you feel very familiar. But in my case, I began to understand these things much more clearly.
You had a download, almost like a computer download
That's right.
of an encyclopedic.
That just brought me to all those experiences that I've
Yeah.
had, where I think some of the most incredible, it was like one time I walked into a room for the first time, and it ended up being this person that I saw for 2 years, and walked into her room for the first time, and it felt like I had been there 1,000 times. And I had no interest in her at the point at all. We were like totally just friends. And I walked in and walked out and just had the experience, didn't tell anyone. And there have been like a few like that just raise you up because they are so mystical and beautiful. Yeah.
Understanding of your previous lives.
Yes. And in fact, I'm planning in the future, but I'm not doing it because I think already many people think I'm a nut. And I don't want somebody to think that it's all part of my imagination, because it's very much in my mind to write a book called The Past 4 Lives of M.
The past 4 lives, it's already destined to be a bestseller. I am powerfully attracted to your story for many reasons. First of all,
Just quick note on the way he's being.
Yeah.
You said this in the first video that kind of failed that we tried to react to with him.
Yeah.
I just get this loving acceptance vibe from him. And it just showed when he was about to speak, the other person was about to speak, he closed his mouth, he goes, just go ahead. Just like very gently.
Yeah, also the other day we talked about how on like Sadhguru Matthew McConaughey.
Yeah.
The ways in which Sadhguru sits in stillness when he listens to the other person and doesn't really move too much.
Yes.
And then you see a guy like Sri M, he's nodding constantly. And it just goes back to that idea of here are all these different people. Everyone's different.
Everyone's different.
Someone's gonna Wim Hof is gonna get super excited and like jump up and down.
Yeah.
Sri M is gonna nod at you. Sadhguru is gonna be pretty still.
And it's
But
just
it's
like, because you want to, your mind wants to go, okay, this is an enlightened being, this is an enlightened being, this is an enlightened being. I can't say why I know,
Yes.
and we'll let the heart figure that out for the time being, but I know that. But we're going to figure out what all 10 of these enlightened beings have in common, and we're just going to replicate that.
Comparison. You've already lost your authority at that point.
Good.
You've handed
Very
it away.
good. Very good. Shri M, let's do this.
my wife and I, Jody Cleary, my wife, profoundly loves your story and believes it. And she couldn't wait till I read it. And we couldn't wait to hear you say yes to an interview. So number one, thankful for that. I am powerfully attracted to your story because it reminds me of some other stellar spiritual autobiographies, the stories of Swami Rama, Paramahansa Yogananda, Paul Brunton, a journalist such as myself, but had huge opening through Ramana Maharshi. But there's an exception to their stories because you are a contemporary of ours, of mine in age. I'm older than you are. So in age, as far as age goes, we're contemporaries. This brings your truly unbelievable tale to my generation. Are there many people, do you think, still having today what you experienced in the Himalayas and in front of the jackfruit tree when you were a child?
What did you ask? What
Are there many people having the experiences that you've been given?
I don't think so. Not many, but there are.
Do you communicate with them?
Where in the spiritual field, you're linked always with others who are in this particular field. But most people are unknown. There are lots of people who are so silent as the grass that you walk upon, that unless they choose to reveal, you cannot catch them.
You've told your story in a best...
So silent as the grass that you walk upon.
That's poetry.
Come on.
Oh. That's something that I've thought about a decent amount is how many beings are just out there. And how much credit to people like Sri M, like Sadhguru, like Ram Dass, to go out in the world and share and be of service. It's like, makes me think that there's probably plenty of beings like this, but the ones that are remembered, of course that doesn't necessarily matter, but the ones who
Doesn't matter at all.
made these like very real seeming impacts are the ones who have just like gone out in the world. And so where does that decision come from?
Yeah, and I would almost say that's again where you get to all these different paths of enlightened being.
Yeah.
And there are going to be some that remain like the grass, you know?
Just like follow your feeling.
But yeah, you also know nothing about all the different levels they're functioning on, you know?
Right.
Like, who knows if us getting to this point is because of one of those grass beings? We got no idea.
We don't.
But
don't
it's
know.
like incredible.
It's like,
It reminds me of a line
yeah.
from I forget who this artist is. I've been listening to him a decent amount recently. We'll figure it out later.
Charlie Puth? No,
No.
not that one. It's the other one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll think about it later. But he has this one line where he says, the knower doesn't tell. And it hits on multiple levels, I think, because the knower not telling can be like this inability to tell because it's a knowing, not a telling. But then also that type of a being of like how many people are just there, and that's it.
And the cool thing is, if you meet them in person, you'll know.
Yeah.
You'll feel that vibration, especially if you're moving in that direction.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Ram Dass says incredible lines. Definitely quotes someone else, but just brought it into my life, which I'm very thankful for. Those who speak do not know, and those who know do not speak. But then he says that as a joke because he's very funny. He's like, and now you see my conundrum. Sitting in front of you, giving you mental concepts because that's all I can do for an hour and a half, trying to get you to the stillness between the words.
Holy
Yeah.
moly. Ravioli.
Selling book in 2011, which is destined to be internationally best-selling, I know. When your guru sent you back home after many years in the mountains, you found your father reading a favorite of mine, Paul Brunton's In Search of Hidden India, Secret India. It's still one of the best introductions of Eastern spirituality for the West.
Right.
Did he start this ball rolling with giving us Westerners an insight into spiritual thought?
You mean Paul Brunton?
Yes.
I think in a way it's true, but there have been other writers who are not so popular. Their books didn't sell so well. One of the most important writers who are not Indian and who really explored, inquired, practiced, not just theoretically, but practiced the ancient science of Tantra and wrote on it was Sir John Woodroffe.
Sir
John Woodroffe,
Woodroffe
who wrote
on Tantra.
another name of Arthur Avalon.
Avalon.
Of course, his best known book is The Serpent Power, but there are other like Introduction to Tantra, very many books, I think. But thing is, with Paul Brunton, it was an easy style. This was a little too scholarly and in-depth study, but not like Paul Brunton's.
Paul Brunton's was very persuasive because it told the story from a seeker's point of view,
Right.
who is also a skeptic.
Yes.
And both of those are powerful combinations. So when he finds frauds and fakes and charlatans,
Absolutely.
and then finds the genuine article,
Maharishi.
yeah, it's very, very powerful.
Apart from that,
Of course, the genuine one he finds is.
Of course, the Rolling Stone stops on Ramana. That's the one. That's
Yeah.
the amount of time that I've spent with his teachings is very small comparatively to a lot of the other teachers, but the amount of impact that he has had on me, very great.
One of you guys commented something that I've been wanting to raise to the front for a while, but Ramana Maharshi reaction we did a while ago, where it kind of gets to this whole idea of the core of his teaching being questioning who I am.
Yes.
And someone in the comments wrote a game changer and goes, yeah, I've been studying this for a long, long time, and all of it changed for me when I understood that who am I is not the question, but the answer. And you just gotta sit with that. But whoever commented that, I see you, and that, yeah, let's go.
you should also appreciate the fact that there was the great Swami Vivekananda.
Of course, he
Who
came
went
to America.
the West.
Yes.
And that was when people woke up and said, here is a treasure from India.
Yeah. He was the very first.
I think so.
Yes. This is important to me. As a youth, you were interested very much in the life of Shirdi Sai.
That's what happens. See, this is why it's so incredible having a community like this. Like, undescribable. How beautiful this is.
Just say it one more time. Just say it one more time.
So this commenter, we're gonna have to find the comment now.
Mm-hmm.
Says, yeah, I've been practicing this for a long time. Who am I? Questioning it every day. And then understood that who am I is not a question, but an answer.
Sai Baba.
Right.
Was it because he appealed to Muslims and Hindus alike, or was it for another reason?
No. It's not because we appeal to Muslims and Hindus or anything of that kind. I had this deep attraction towards him, which I attribute to my past life connections with him, which I have not revealed neither in my autobiography nor anywhere else.
You said that in your book, but you said when it's time you will. Is it time now? Do you want to start revealing more now?
No. I think I had done too much of revealing now. I used to lead a quiet life here, and now it's become difficult.
But your teachers,
Makes you think about the other enlightened beings that they were speaking of, and why you don't necessarily speak up.
If it's not the path, because it's like there's a give and take. You hear Sadhguru talking about how busy his schedule is, and just how the sheer amount of things that he's doing, and it's just all he wakes up, he's in service. Maybe he's asleep, he's in service. We don't know.
Yeah.
But like it just seems
Probably.
like all of the time. It's just constant, on service to people who are trying to know. And that's incredible, but it must be challenging at times. Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Who knows?
I don't know anything.
Yeah.
I don't know one thing.
including Mahavatar Babaji, told you, directed you, led you to know that this was going to happen. So you have to do your duty, I would think.
I have to. I used to always talk. Maheshwarnath Babaji would ask me, "What do you think?" I told you, between you and me, what's the attitude you have? I said, "I'm your dog. I sit before you. I look at you. I stare at you. I whine when I'm hungry." And he said to me, "But don't shake your tail too much.
Don't wag, is what you told
Don't
us
wag
earlier.
your tail."
I was going to say something, but I won't hold it back because it's personal. My wife accuses me of wagging too much. So when I first heard this, I was very excited. I almost thought you read my mind. Let me ask you one other question about this, because you said earlier, and I believe you when you said that Maheshwarnath Babaji simply appeared to you in front of the jackknife tree when you were a child.
Yeah.
So he could have crawled over the wall for all I know. But the materialization that has to have been a genuine materialization was when Shirdi Sai Baba did the same thing.
Absolutely.
And then turned into your teacher.
Right.
So when he came and
What?
told you
Right.
what you say you can't reveal
As
yet,
far as Shirdi Sai Baba is concerned, my experience in the book which I have written is not a vision. It's not a vision, it's an actual fact.
It's real.
For me,
Yeah.
it was absolutely real.
you saw this man.
I saw this man.
And it
I
was
saw
Shirdi Sai
this
Baba.
man, I felt this man No vision gives you a bunch of currency notes, money, and says, go. Which vision can give you?
And this man who had been dead for several
That's what we
decades before
thought,
you.
that he is dead, but he is not. This is exactly what I'm saying. And in spiritual matters, in the spiritual field, this materializing as these tiny things, is not a big deal. It's not a big deal.
Well, the contemporary of Shirley Sai.
Very good. Very good. Ram Dass says that the miracles are only there to show you that it's not how you think it is.
To put you in a space of I don't know.
Yeah. But don't focus too much on him.
Yeah.
Because I feel like that's something you see in Christianity all the time is like such a focus on Jesus's miracles and not the fact that he was realized, that he was joyous, And that's like, those are the things that allow. It's like you could even look at, this is the thing. People look at the miracles as a source, but the miracles are like the leaves on the tree. The miracles are just the leaves on the tree. And you can look at them and go, but you have no idea what the root is.
All of existence is just the leaves on the tree.
That's good.
Come on. This is getting stupid at this point. This is just
Yeah. Stupid for your mind.
smart for your heart. Is a rhyme. Smart. Nice.
We're losing it.
Such as I said, those are my tinsel, trinkets, and trash that I give you so that you come for what I really have to give you, your understanding.
The problem is people get stuck with the trash.
Oh, I know. It's like candy. It's
See,
like
for instance, if
in a
somebody
Christmas
waves
tree.
his hand and makes ash and puts it, then everybody thinks, oh, he's a big man.
Where did that come
It's,
from?
I'm just telling you.
Yeah, but where did that just...
Wait.
Where did it just come from? Wait a second. Wait a second. See, that's the instinct. It's just like the interviewer's like,
Yeah.
that's the coolest thing you've ever done. What was that?
Wait. I like how this camera was just like, holy shit.
Yeah. We gotta get us some of this.
and that, wait, let's rewind. Let's watch this.
Yeah. Wait, let's closely, everyone, we're gonna closely look at the hand motion. Very closely.
Such as I said, those are my tinsel, trinkets, and trash that I give you so that you come for what I really have to give you, your understanding.
The problem is people get stuck with the trash.
Oh, I know. It's like candy. It's
See,
like
for instance, if somebody waves his hand and makes ash and puts it, then everybody thinks, oh, he's a big man.
Where did that
It's,
come from?
I'm just telling you.
Yeah, but where did that just come from?
And it has beautiful smell. So these are not such a big deal. You see. So
I can't believe what I just saw.
But I don't do it because I don't want people to get caught with this. They have to move forward. They have to find themselves.
Before you...
What? I like that you guys, where'd that come from? He's like, it's not a big deal. It's not a big... It smells good, though.
It's also funny how, like, the interviewer was just talking about how, like, he was like, oh, a lot of people get stuck with the trash. Or no, Sri M said that, and he was like, oh, yes. And then all three of us are getting stuck on it. Oh, it's so good. So, it's just the cosmic giggle.
Yeah.
Is it not?
Before
we have to stop this.
Show me your hand one more time because I didn't see it close enough, if you will. I know we have to stop this, and we'll stop it one day, but not today.
Okay.
Okay. Well, this is what I'm talking about.
So
Great camera.
these are not. What I'm trying to say is, it happened now just for you to know that it's not a big deal.
It had a
Yeah.
jasmine fragrance to it. It had a beautiful fragrance to it.
It still has, and it won't disappear. It's lying there.
And you say for us that we are not to, there it is. I'm so glad you pointed out. You put it right over there. And this is vibhuti. And for people who aren't aware of it, this is what the holy man Sai
But
Baba
I don't do
produced.
it. I hardly do it. I'm doing it for you. I just wanted you to know that such things are possible. But one shouldn't get too much caught up in
No,
that.
you
You know
can't.
what happens? People come to you then and they say, nobody asks you any spiritual question. They say, I have a stomachache, I have this, I have that. I get people calling me at midnight and saying, my son has loose motions. Can you stop it? I mean, is this spiritual? And I had to give them a solution. I said, use a cork.
A cork.
What do you do then? Somebody wakes you up at midnight and says, my son has loose motion, or do something about it. You
Very
should go and see
practical
a
advice.
doctor. Yeah.
One more question.
Wow. That just gave a really cool insight to what it's like to be a teacher at this level. You know, it's like, and it makes you go back to the Jesus type thing where it's like, Jesus died for our sins. As long as you repent, your sins will be taken care of.
Taken care of.
Yeah, and it's like, I have diarrhea. My son has diarrhea. Help us. It's like all of that is just taking responsibility and tossing
it onto the teacher. And it's like, you go back to also Sadhguru's story where he sat for 13 days without moving.
Yeah.
Comes out of it, he's like, and I got a crowd of people around me asking like when their daughter's going to get married. And just like these little questions that like, because they're just trying to get squeeze everything they can out of the teacher. Because they're like, oh, well, what can you do for me?
Oh. And then he goes, barely anyone asks me spiritual questions.
That, dude.
And it's like, it's probably how you find your students as a master like that. Wow. You're like, who's the person who's looking past all of that?
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah.
Who deals with that stuff?
Yeah. Who can see something like that? Say he grabbed it out of his pocket, say he didn't. Who can see that and just see right past it and be like, yeah, that was what it was, but like, why are you happy?
Yeah.
Why are you connected to the universe? Like, that's what's important.
Oh, brilliant.
That's really hard. That's really hard to do.
Yeah.
Because it's very sensational to see things like that. It's very much like, you want the power. How do you do that? You know? Yeah.
Following up on what we just talked about, because recently I wasn't to the temple. I simply drove through Tirupati and I heard about it. Can you explain why the Shirdi Sai Baba's temple has become the second most popular pilgrimage site in India? Is it because of his lessons? It wasn't because of his materialization?
Mostly because of his, he never materialized, but it's mostly because of his miracles.
So the miracle, and no doubt, because I know that you've been given under order by your teacher and your teacher's teacher, 80% of Babaji's capacities, those could be done by you too.
That's true. But my particular mode and my mission in life is not so much about these matters, but to take people genuinely into this way. So, which is why I know that it's not easy to find hundreds of sincere spiritual seekers. This, at least at this point of evolution, it's not possible. But there are people like that hidden here and there. So my job is to find out. Unfortunately, I'm confessing, I haven't found a single one yet. I'm still looking. When I see young people come for the talks, look closely. Is there this fellow anywhere around here?
Whoa.
You know, you saw that in the retreat. There were this time lots of young people, and I was thrilled because I thought, who knows? Now they're not been put into any mold. This is the time when they can be shaped.
You say the same thing my teacher told us for many years, that there's only a handful of true devotees of the many, many, many who follow Sai Baba. One last question and I'll move on, if it's okay. Your teachers, Maheshwarnath Baba.
Before he goes into the question, I think it's a good time to reflect on what state you're going in. What's your motivation behind going to see a talk by someone like Sri M? Because that's something. Say Sri M was going to give a talk 4 hours away from here. We're going.
Yeah,
You know?
without question.
But what's the motivation? I think is the important thing. Because I was just talking about this yesterday, I think, but the key, it feels like, is to not go for something. Not go for the purpose of being taught, even. Maybe it's just like it has to be a calling. It has to just be like you feel it, you follow it, and you don't know why. That has to be the way, because otherwise you're just going to be going in with expectation. You're going to be going in wanting something. But if you can just go in and share an experience with someone, the key is that it's raw. Is that it's just so raw and true and unfiltered by expectation or desire.
Yeah, and that's why I feel like the important work that you need to do constantly is your relationship, your perception, not your relationship to your desires and those types of things, and dive into that relationship and be like, what's going on here? What are the mechanics in me?
On your own, and there's nothing that you could go and learn from this person that you don't already know.
Yeah.
You know, you're not trying to go and suck all of the knowledge you can from this person.
It's like, what if it's true that all the answers are within you?
Yeah.
You know, like, everyone says that all the time.
Yeah.
How many of us act on that? Because it is...
Very good.
It is so, like... It is such a different level of living. You know? It's a depth. A depth to life that... Like, following... you can't even put it into words. Because you guys know what the experience is when you are like, I'm doing this because, like, from something bigger than ego. And only you, the authority, can know that. And no one else can tell you that. Because if someone else tells you, oh, you're doing that because X, or like, oh, I like that state you're in right now, like, that's a higher state. No, that's just someone else's giving you a level ranking, and then you're just gonna level yourself. And the thing is, no matter who you're around, you are always going to have those types of things put on you. They're always going to be around. So you need to, again, go within your, like, even between us two, you know, one of us will be like, oh, that was a crazy state I was in, or that was a crazy state you were in. And it's like, right when you say that, what I've been noticing is that I'll start comparing things.
Yeah.
And then it's like, what I need to understand is my relationship to comparison. What is comparison?
It goes back to what you were saying. It's like everyone's path to enlightenment is so different. And it's like their own, everyone's got their own flavor. It's not like you're getting the same thing from every enlightened teacher. Just being okay with that.
This shit's crazy.
This shit. This shit is crazy. Here's one to toss on. A little hat. Try on. That could be a good hat. Is there anything in it? Oh, yeah. Here's a little hat to try on. This is when you know that you've really settled in yourself, I feel like. When you could have anyone, especially someone you look up to, like an enlightened teacher, come to you and refute something that you're doing or affirm something that you're doing, and you remain unchanged. It's like this, as Sadhguru would say. It's just like this. Fine.
Yeah. That.
I forget when that came to me, but that's been like a recurring theme for me. It's like there will be certain times it's like I'm so settled in something that I'm doing, but then for the moment's flicker, I question, but I'll be like in a certain state, and there will be a moment's flicker of questioning. Well, you know, say Sadhguru walked in and he asked me, or he like said, "Why are you doing that?"
That's silly.
That's silly. There's certain times where I am certain that I'd just be like that. It's like, it's my truth. But then there's other times where I'm like, "Oh, Sadhguru, I'm so sorry. Oh my God, no. I'll go to the Isha Center." Yeah.
I feel like we do this question and then take a break on this video.
Yeah. I like that.
This is a journey.
It's a hefty one.
Babaji and his teacher, the very esteemed Mahavatar Babaji, sent you home to live by example and to meet different gurus in your lifetime in holy men. Did you ever meet Sri Satya Sai Baba?
No.
Do you have any opinion?
I did. I have met him twice in Budapest.
Tears flowed when your teacher, Maheshwarnath Babaji, led you to Sri Guru Babaji for the first time. Mahavatar Babaji for the first time. So, is he the same Babaji whom Yogananda refers to affectionately in the world-famous autobiography of a yogi? That's the same one. The bare-chested youth with long hair, sitting in a
There is
lotus
only
position.
one Sri Guru. See, the thing is, when Yogananda Paramahamsa said Mahavatar Babaji, what he meant was that here is someone or something, I say something deliberately, that has been there, many avatars have come and gone, but he remains. You see, avatars have come out, but he
I think
remains.
Yogananda said at least 500 years, if not more.
So he remains, and therefore he called him Mahavatar, which means great avatar. Now in our parampara, which means our tradition, we have never used this word Mahavatar.
Only Yogananda pretty much. He made it up.
After
and
his time it came on, yes. But there's nothing wrong with that. But what I mean is we call him, he's always known in our parampara, also among the Nath Sampradaya, as Sri Guru Babaji.
Okay. So, Sri
Guru Babaji is none other than the person or whatever being about whom Yogananda talks about in the autobiography.
Many people call him mythical, but it sounds like what you're saying is he is the opposite of being mythical.
Yeah. Many people think that it is an idea and not a real thing, but it's much more real than the objective world that we see.
Can you still reach your own Guru Babaji by calling for him as he asks you to do? And can you also reach Sri Babaji?
When I say I am in touch, I mean Sri Guru Babaji. Because Maheshwarnath Babaji, he did his work
And then he died.
he left his physical body. And he is functioning perhaps in some other world or field where he has work to perform. And I am not supposed to interfere with him. But sometimes, rarely, I see him in beautiful dreams and sometimes in meditation, which I consider as a visitation, a kind visitation. But I am not supposed to deliberately get hold of him.
Okay.
But Sri Guru Babaji, being, we believe, we know, Adinath himself, or what we call Paramashiva.
You catch that?
Yeah.
We believe we know. Do you know or do you believe?
Also, earlier when he goes, people refer to this yogi or whatever, this being, he says, and then he pauses and he goes, this thing. I said thing deliberately.
I missed that.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Because it's something that it's already out of the conception. If you conceptualize as a being, you've already crossed off the possibilities.
Holy smokes.
All right, let's let him finish this. And
Dude.
Uh-oh.
How incredible is it that magic is real?
Yeah.
How fun is this whole thing? It's so...
Every superpower you've ever heard of seems to exist.
Yeah. All of them.
All of them. Because where else would we have gotten the ideas from? You know?
Very good.
It's like...
Very good.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Yeah, is there everywhere. So it's not a big deal for him to come when you want.
That's amazing.
It's,
May I ask you a silly question? 80% of your teachers, as we said earlier, Sri Guru Babaji, Maheshwarnath Babaji, 80% of your teachers' gifts were transferred to you at Maheshwarnath Babaji's death. Will you pass these along to others as you go through your life? And the silly question is, do you have
not a
any,
silly question, it's a
the
serious
other idea is, do you have any idea what the 20% omitted was all about? What gifts do they possess that they did
That smile.
did not pass along to you?
Yeah.
Yeah. This is not exactly the percentage.
Yeah,
I just said that in a general manner, which means most of the things that were passed on to me are to help me in my mission. Anything that need not directly have an impact on my mission has not been passed on to me.
I see. They're not needed.
Like for instance, I tell you, Sri Guru Babaji lives with his physical body for hundreds of years. I cannot do that. After a while, I will have to give up my body.
What if your Sri Guru Babaji wanted your mission to continue for another 80 years? He would
He
exceed.
can do that. But as of now, I have no such
Okay.
idea that he wants me to do that. Probably he will find somebody else. I'm not the best vehicle.
Your teacher talks about, this is hugely important to me, I discussed it with my wife. Your teacher talks about how possible it is to exchange thoughts. For me, it's a very serious subject. To read other
Say that
people's-
again.
Your teacher talks about how possible it is
Yeah.
to exchange thoughts, to
Yeah.
read other people's thoughts, and he says, this is not mysterious. What does he mean by it's not mysterious?
Simple. You know, we have only one mind. We don't have different minds. We think we are all different minds, but we are only the same mind working through different centers. And if you have touched the core of that mind, then you can touch any center that comes from.
Oh.
But it's not always so. You do it only when you need to do it, especially for that person's good, not for any other purpose.
Can we learn to do that? Can others learn to do that?
Yes. The first requisite, of course, is that the mind becomes absolutely quiet. When the mind is absolutely quiet and still, then even naturally, you will suddenly find that other people's thoughts are reflected into your mind. First you wonder, I was not thinking about this, how did this? Then you know that this is coming from there. It's possible. So the first step for that is to keep your mind quiet, absolutely still. Plus, there is a safety precaution which has been put into this, which is as long as a person is likely to use it for his own self, try as he might, he cannot go beyond 10%.
Just 10% of it. So
And thus, the next Lion King was born.
Oh man!
Some stuff in your hair. I wonder if that was sealant that I got on you. I've had enough of this. It's time to turn this off. This is silly. Do you? I got nothing. Do you have anything?
Not even if I tried.
We'll see you in the next part of this episode.
Bye bye now. Au revoir.
Much love.
Greetings from the other side.